Did I manage to flatten the curve or not? Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the £100 layout. This is the challenge from RailStuff, where we're trying to build a working, decent layout for £100 or less. And one thing that I will do at some point in this video is give you an update on the budget. A couple of you have quite rightly said that I haven't done that for a while, and that's probably quite important. So, you know, it hasn't shifted a lot. But there have been things that money has been spent on, so we can touch base on that during this video. But where I left you last week was I'd done a small patch with the all-purpose filler to try and level things off for the track, and I said I was going to carry on that and flatten it out and try and get the track as flat and level as possible, and I'm pleased to say actually it's kind of worked out okay. Big shout out to whoever it was who suggested about getting an old credit card to use as a scraper. I did exactly that, and it did the job perfectly for scraping it, leveling it off as we went around. Made it very, very easy to use the all-purpose filler. I don't know if you can see it that well from this angle, but this is now pretty flat. There's a small amount of movement there, but really no more than you'd get on a piece of flat ply. It's very flat all the way from here to here. This is the section that I've done around this curve. You can see when I get around here, if I push there, then it lifts up because I need to come around and start doing the rest of the track area as well. And that's sort of going to be what we begin to look at next, is how I move on from this section, because I'm at the point of deciding that I think what I need to do is get the basics done first in terms of the general landscaping, the track actually laid and fixed in place and everything like that, before I can even think about moving on to more scenic work over here and buildings and things like that. I think I need the whole picture to be able to do that. You may remember that early on I suggested about this being a lift out section. That got abandoned because I just thought it was going to be too difficult and frankly unnecessary. It would never get lifted out anyway. So this is very much a fixed in place quarry area. You remember last week we built the ramp down. This has had a very, very basic coat of paint just to give it a base layer to start off with, before then we can move on to detailing it in the future. One of the things I do want to look out for is whether I can find any very cheap die-cast vehicles, N-gauge, that might be used in a quarry. Even if it's just one as a token, would be useful. So I'll keep my eyes out for that, but I really can only spend a couple of pound on something like that. That might be a job for a toy fair. That's where you can pick up little bargains like that. But in terms of this end of the layout, the general landscaping is done. We've got the hill work, it's got the base coat of paint in, we've flattened off the curve, we've added in the quarry section here. Yes, we'll probably want to do something here at some point in the future in this front corner, but actually I don't think we need to worry about that too much at this stage. What I want to do now is think about the rest of the layout. So I'm not sure you've ever actually seen the layout from this angle, so I thought I'd turn the camera in this direction just so you can have a look. You've probably only seen it from over this way before, but slightly different perspective coming from the quarry end, as we'll call it, the quarry end of Cheapton Pallet. Up at this end, this will be a scenic end as well. I did consider whether there could actually be like a little tunnel area there, and I might still come back, but I don't know, especially with the drop down into here for the canal scene and the road that comes underneath. I'm not sure whether that would then create too much of a steep decline downwards. I don't know, it might be something to think about, but to be fair, it might just cost more money in extra materials, because then you're looking at things like more plaster cloth, more material to actually build it up. I don't know. Yeah, I think that might be a bridge too far, if you will. But we'll see. So, just a reminder of the plan, and some of it you can still see marked in pen here. We have a siding that comes up here. That's these bits of track here, with some kind of shack probably over the end of the siding. Then there'll be a building here and some kind of full bottle kiln type tower there, that makes up like a pottery depot. That will probably get trimmed down to height a little bit more, remembering that this is N gauge, but it's there for starters anyway. And then this section over here to have a road that comes down, slopes down and goes underneath a bridge here, and running along under here will be a canal with a bridge there and a bridge there that takes the railway. That remains the plan. I haven't changed that plan at all. I'm still fairly happy with that as a plan. There was a mention of, well, you need water near a pottery, and yes, I'm sure there are things that are going to be factually incorrect about this, but we may just have to put up with some of those inaccuracies in my work, or we may be able to do something in this area here. I don't know, it's sort of not top of my mind at the moment. Top of my mind is getting this track absolutely sorted. So I think before I do much more, the work that's going to carry on is the filler running around underneath the entire track where it's needed. There are some parts, like here, where the pallet is flat enough and solid enough that I can just stick this down. Here I need to add in some holes underneath to feed the power wires through. I don't know if you can see those there. They come through. They need to go on that side of the points. Let me just turn the camera ever so slightly. So they will need to go on that side of the points, so therefore there will need to be a hole down through the pallet there. And also I want to try these the cables for the points as well. That might be a nice touch, even if we don't get them working straight away, or even use them for the completion of the £100 layout. It would make sense to have the wires dropped through anyway, because why not, right? So that's going to be my first priority over the next week, is leveling the track off and getting it fixed down. The biggest problem is I just pilt. That was a mixture between pan and tilt. Pan the camera around here, is this section over here. There is quite the gap. Some of that is because of where I've put filler over here, so I'll need to make sort of a gradual run down there. But I tell you what, because we've got this working loop of track, and I do need to just check that this is nice and solid around this end, I might just run a train around it. But because I've got it and haven't really used it because I haven't got a layout, I might run something that isn't for this layout at all, just because I can. Well, this is a DMU that certainly needs some cleaning up and servicing and running in, really. It's one I picked up off eBay probably about a year ago now, because at the time I was looking for a East Midlands Trains Class 158, which is exactly what this is, and that's because at some point in the future I would like to build an N-gauge layout that's kind of focused on the more rural services that go from the sort of Crewe to Derby line across nearest line to where I live. Maybe even look at like a miniature Blythebridge station. It's not the most interesting of stations, but it's a very typical modern era semi-rural small station, which I think is interesting in its own way. So yeah, I thought I'd just get this out and give it a run around. The good news is that round the top curve everything is a lot flatter and level. So overall I'm pretty pleased with the progress that's been made with the track. It's certainly more level, it's better supported, so that filler has done the job. So like I say, this week it's going to be getting on with the rest of the layout. Now this video doesn't include really any action of me doing anything, and that's because a lot of the work at the minute is quite repetitive. There's only so many videos I can make where I show you me doing the same thing again and again, right? So what we're going to do now is switch over to the PC instead. Right, so we're over at the PC, and this is kind of the budget as it was. I haven't touched anything at all here. So track we have recorded £43.80. The loco and rolling stock was £37.95. The power controller, which cost me £4.95 in total there. Somebody said that I needed to record something down here. I can't remember what it was now. So I'm going to have to look through some old YouTube comments in a minute and find out what it was that they said. Didn't you miss A, B, C, D, E? I can't remember. What I can put down here is plaster cloth. So I didn't have a budget for that, and I have spent so far £2.50 on that. So let me just check that it's included in all of that. Yes, it is. So we're up to £89.20 at this moment in time, and I think there is still something that I've missed. So I'm looking at the layout. Oh, it was the power pack, wasn't it? The power pack for the controller. So that was £3.95 off the top of my head. So here's the situation that we're in then. Currently, we have already spent £93.15. We're going to have to get creative with scenics and buildings because, well, there's not a lot of money left. We're looking at £6.85 left to spend on buildings, scenic materials, and I already mentioned earlier I'd like some kind of vehicle for the quarry. I feel like a lot of the actual building materials is fairly straightforward in terms of plastics and cardboards and all that kind of stuff. I can recycle stuff for that, and I can avoid spending any money on that. I think the bit that bothers me a little bit is some of the foliage material. Oh, and we've still got the static grass to get in there as well. So we do need to buy some very cheap static grass. It's going to be like some Javis type stuff. And look, if you're getting started and you're trying static grass for the first time, there's nothing wrong with a bit of Javis. If you're trying to create an exhibition layout, you know, top of the notch stuff, then look, go for WW Scenics for your static grass. And of course you can get that from rail-stuff.com. But if you're just getting started and you want something cheap to try it out and experiment and, you know, just a little layout for yourself, go with a bit of Javis. It's absolutely fine. And it is very affordable. So I need to find some cheap static grass and a cheap vehicle and some cheap foliage material. And I've got £6.85 left to keep this below £100. It was a big decision to go with brand new track, brand new loco and rolling stock. Is that decision going to pay off or not? That's the question. Because with £6.85 left, that's a bit of a stark position to be in. Now, I know this can be done. I'm not going to abandon this principle or this idea. I'm not going to overspend. Once we get to the £100 limit, that's it, we're done. We're done spending. Anything that happens after that is out of things that we can salvage. I already know that there's going to be some kind of ground foliage that will come from some ripped up tea bags. Take the leaves from inside and use those. There will probably be some dried out real earth in places around the layout. There will be some other kind of garden material to create some of the foliage, but we are going to need to buy some bits. And some of that may be construction material for the buildings. So over the next couple of weeks, I need to start to properly plan out those buildings and see what I'm going to need. Like I just said, whilst looking at the budget, I'm confident that we can build the structure and everything like that with free bits, whether it be bits like that or bits of wood or the kind of bottle kiln stuff that we already talked about, or cardboard that I salvage or anything like that. But I'm also going to need something to help finish off the outside, whether it's embossed material or I don't know, but it'll need to look okay. Or does it? It's £100 layout. Does it just look basic? I don't know. I want it to look good enough that people will find it interesting to look at the show in December. And just as a reminder, that's where we're headed with all of this. The RailStuff Open Day takes place on Saturday the 6th of December at the Stramshall Hall near Uttoxeter in Staffordshire. It's free to enter. Anyone who comes gets free entry in the competition as well. We've got plenty of friends of RailStuff coming along to do demonstrations on the day, like Dan Everson, Tom Foster, Tom from Buggles Kelly. We've got Jonathan from JS Models, we've got Mark from Wagon Yard coming up, we've got a couple of layouts from the Stafford Model Railway Club, so you know, and we've got Ross from the airbrush company doing airbrush demos, so there's going to be something for everyone, and of course the full RailStuff range on display. But this is going to be on display. This £100 layout, in whatever format it is in, come the 6th of December, it will be on display and it will be running trains. I have no issue timing wise with getting this finished. My big question is, can I still do it in the budget that I've set out? I know I can, and I will. That's a commitment that I made, that I was going to do this for £100 and prove it, and I'm going to do that. What about other budget inspiration? Well, I'm going to be watching more of the Budget Model Railway YouTube channel. They've got some great stuff on there. And news in terms of Budget Model Railway stuff, if you will. I saw that, I think was it TMC doing it? They're doing a starter kit made out of refurbished second-hand gear for 50 quid, and they're selling them in a box at the Greatest Gathering, which is this weekend. I'll be there on Sunday, so if anyone sees me and a slightly crazy little boy in RailStuff t-shirts, then that's me and my lad, so feel free to come and say hello. I'm just there as a punter, I'm not actually trading there, but it'll be good to see all of the locos on display, and a fair few people from the industry as well. So yeah, if you end up there on Sunday, then come and say hello. But yeah, it's interesting to see that even a large retailer like TMC is looking at budget options to get people into model railways. And that's the point here. You know, this is no criticism of people who spend thousands on their layouts. Hey, I need you guys to keep me in business. It's more just a reaction to the constant, oh, this hobby's got too expensive. And I remain convinced that we can do something for under £100. I mean, hey, there are people who didn't think we could even get this far for under £100 with our £3 baseboard, our brand new Kato Unitrack and brand new Kato Pocket Line loco and rolling stock. That's not the one that's on the line right now, as you know. And we are getting there. We're making progress, and maybe in some ways I'm overstretching myself. And look, you know, I appreciate that this episode is a bit of a waffle and a ramble, but I think I needed a waffle and a ramble because I'm not 100% certain that I've taken the right approach at this moment in time, having just looked at those numbers. But we're going to make it work. So short episode this week, not a lot of action, really an update as much as anything as I get on with some of the repetitive work. But I really appreciate you guys sticking with it and tuning in. Please, if you haven't hit the subscribe button before now, then please do so. Yeah, it's great to see more and more of you coming on board with the RailStuff channel, and I look forward to bringing you exciting other challenges and ideas in the future as well. But for this week, that's us done. Thank you ever so much for watching. I'll see you next week.